Missi Smith was born and raised in Louisiana, part urban, part rural. She was educated by family, friends, travel, and even institutions of higher learning, all too numerous to account for in 75 words here. Missi moved to San Antonio in 1984, established her longest residence to date, and she's earned the proud title San Antonio Local Artist. Missi Smith.
It's great to be here tonight, guys. Thank you for having me. I was born in Abbeville, Louisiana in '56. I moved to New Orleans when I was 4. I was raised pretty equally in both places and loved them both for their differences. Because I am often asked by people when looking at my work, where do you get your ideas, and what are you talking about in your work? Here are my thoughts on the creative process and how the subject and the signature become present in the work. Tools to signature. The artist, the first tool in the collection. We are incubators, pulling from our collection of tools to create the work. Each tool serves a purpose, but it is through the artist that the work is materialized. Origin, a subliminal underlying sensibility, an ingrained reference that becomes the foundation on which the artist stands. A substructure, an underpainting, so to speak, that is constant in the work. Eyes. Eyes collect visual information, which is interned until it becomes subject matter. Subject matter used in order to create visual communication. Absorption. This tool allows the artist to tap into the collective conscious. We absorb the issues of the world and create narratives that are our response to them. They are often not unlike those of artists from around the globe or of another time. Intuition is essential. It liberates the process, allowing the work to take form more organically, without the force of thought. It is the wellspring to direct perception and enlightenment. Destruction. The process of destroying and then working over what is perceived as a failed attempt will in most cases cause the work to become more powerful. Especially if the struggle reveals itself. Found object. The found object incorporated into the work, either embedded into the surface or as a standalone piece, has the power to speak volumes with its history and its associations. Random placement. This tool does not always work on first attempts, but often determines better placement than one contemplated in order to create perfect balance. A kind of cousin to intuition that can deliver quick solutions. Simplification. Simplification alleviates confusion. Once simplified, the work takes on a freshness. A more vested viewing may be required in order to discover what is being articulated and will hopefully establish a longer attraction. Experimentation. The door opener, encouraging free play. Often, other disciplines take part in this folly. The impact can only be determined through the course of experimenting. Broadcasting, liquids and dry pigments tend to address the surface as if blown in by the winds and the rains, moving and melding with each other, collecting in the cracks and crevices to deliver a surface seemingly organic. Hands and hand tools, the constructors, they are the tools that manifest the work in the physical form, the delivery service, so to speak. The delivery depends on the skill set of the artist. It may be primitive or pristine and masterful in nature. It is through the hands and the hand tools that the authenticity of the physical work can be determined. I gravitate to the tools that speak loudest to me and work with them in an attempt to develop art from my perspective, with my sensibility, the work that will carry my signature. I am not working alone in the studio. I bring with me all the artists who have inspired me over the years. It is through their example that I discover the importance of staying open in the process. The signature is much more than the signing of the work. It is embedded in a deliberate search. It requires dedication and self-discipline. But if an artist is committed to using the tools honestly and with authenticity, they will be rewarded with the same in their signature. San Antonio embraces their artists, and artists embrace each other here. This kind of comradeship is not as common as you might think. Any artist that has the courage to stand before the work with diligence has my respect. It is good to be in a place where diversity is valued and respected. Thank you.
Thank you, Missi. So Reggie works at the Mercury Project. Robert writes from home. Allison records in her bedroom, I think. Where do you work? Where do you do your art?
Well, I'm constantly working. So I think the artist is always working. So I'm working in the world. And then I have a beautiful studio that I just built a couple of years ago. Before then, I traveled from one space to another throughout San Antonio.
Do you want to say where that studio is?
It's at 455 Bailey.
And where can people see your work is what I'm really getting at.
Okay, in my studio, over the years, I've exhibited in town in multiple galleries and events, and it seems like I'm kind of taking a hiatus from the public these days.
Well, speaking of taking a hiatus from the public, you're a minimalist with words, not necessarily in your art. And I'm curious, you talked at the very end with that explosion of light about San Antonio being a welcoming city for the community of local artists. Would you say more about that and how it's different than where you came from or what it made you stay here?
Okay. First of all, I do work in two different genres, a very minimal approach to the work as well as a very Baroque application. So I'm studying both sides of that sensibility. San Antonio, we migrated here. I migrated here with my husband, and at that time I had one child, pregnant with another. I now have three, two Texans and one Louisianan. And I came with my husband. He has a seed business in Pleasanton. And from that point, I just began to raise my kids and find time to create art in my garage, and then from the garage to studios around town. And so San Antonio, to me, is a very welcoming place for artists. It's affordable, and It's just, you know, the artists here are great, and we have a huge community of fantastic artists here in San Antonio.
Thanks for being part of it tonight. Missi Smith.